Hello, everyone. Thank you for all of your patience. Unfortunately, software is definitely playing up this evening, and I'm hoping the trend stays relatively stable. But great having you to join me here for this live stream of Portugal taking on the Czech Republic, or Czechia as they are called now. And yeah, we are in for an interesting encounter, that's for sure. Could this be the last tournament for CR7? I'm sure we will be speculating, and potentially could he be the man that inspires Portugal in this tournament? So let me know your thoughts as we go along. More importantly, if you happen to be joining us from Instagram as well as Twitter, or X as they call it these days, and you want to get involved in the topics, all I would say is ask you to go onto YouTube, get your questions as we go along, because unfortunately the software doesn't seem to be pulling through those comments as we go along. But delighted to say that you are joining me right now as we kind of wait this match to kick off. Obviously, we were blessed with Georgia and Turkey not that long ago, and what a game that was as well. Thrilling game. Get your thoughts as we go along as well. But more importantly, let us kind of dive into this match as I await to see the actual game kick off. Let's take you through the squads that are going to be in front of us in terms of our screens. So hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll be able to see my screen as we go along, and we'll initially start off with Portugal. So I will just ensure that the screen is reflective for you guys and you can see what I'm actually seeing, as well as we kind of articulate the teams that have been picked there. So I might just zoom out so we can kind of get a better idea of this team. And Portugal, it's safe to say, under Roberto Martinez, have opted for a 4-3-3 formation. So we'll start off in goal. You've got Diego Costa, and then in terms of the back line, a fairly established and well-experienced back line, it's fair to say, with Diego Dalot on that right-hand side, Pepe in the middle. Great to see that guy. I don't know about you guys, but it's great to have that kind of character in that mix alongside Ruben Dias, and obviously we've got Mendes from PSG. They've got a fascinating midfield as well. So Vitinha having a fantastic season for PSG as well, alongside Bruno Fernandes, a guy that I'm not so fond of, but he does like to turn up for the national side. And we've got Bernardo Silva off the back of another great season for Man City. Possibly not his strongest season is what I would speculate here. However, still a very good season by all accounts. And on the kind of attacking trio, now this is supposedly a bit of a kind of strange one, perhaps. João Cancelo being opted here on that right-hand side. Normally we kind of see him adapted on that left-hand side. I think he's going to intertwine between Rafael Leao personally. We might also see him kind of try and change maybe positions with Bernardo Silva. We know that Bernardo Silva likes to kind of drift in as well as come on the outside. So he does that so well for Man City, and I'm expecting very much the same here. Obviously got the main man himself, CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo, leading the line as well. And otherwise, Rafael Leao is on that left-hand side as well. If we allude to the Czech side, obviously probably lesser known in comparison. A lot of the players being made up of players that play in the Czech league, the likes of Slavia Prague and Sparta Prague. I think when I was looking at the sides, barely any of them kind of tend to be outside of those two big clubs, even when you look at the history of some of these players as well. The players that possibly a lot of you will be kind of reminiscent of is the likes of Souček and Trufal, who plays for West Ham. We've also got Patrick Schick as well, having a fantastic season for Bayer Leverkusen. But if you look at it, this kind of trio at the back, obviously they're going to be in for a very tough match, I'd say. Holles is a very good centre-back. Haranats as well. He's someone that scores quite often. So keep an eye out on him. From a attacking kind of piece, I know I've mentioned about Patrick Schick and the Horschek, who is currently on the bench, and we'll go through the bench options in a minute. But Kukta has had a great season with Sparta Prague this season as well. Also expect Dudera. He's someone that is kind of, I'd say, more direct in terms of his style. And Krejica, he currently plays for Girona in La Liga. He has transferred there, so keep an eye out on him as well. If I quickly look at the benches, then from a Czech Republic point of view, maybe this standout for me would be Anton Berek here. Not his finest season with Fiorentina, but we know he's got a bit of touch of class about him, and he can open up defenses sometimes, has a shot from distance as well. David Jurosik as well is someone to keep an eye out on. Otherwise, from an attacking point of view, if Schick does have to come off, then Adam Haloshek, who is at Bayern Leverkusen, so is his teammate as well, but well known to the Czech team as well from his days at Sparta Prague. And if we kind of look at the Portugal bench, you can see an array of individuals that you will recognize, you know, the likes of Danilo, who plays for PSG, João Neves, João Paulinha, for example, Mateus Nunes. We could go on and on and on. The one I'm definitely interested to see if he gets some game time is Chico Conceição, obviously Sergio Conceição's son. So it'll be fascinating to see how that pans out. But as you can see, a very strong option off the bench as well. So that is your lineups for today. Let me know as we go along what you think. What do you think is going to be the actual... Sorry, I'm just having some issues with the software here. It was just trying to take me out of there. What I was going to say was let me know your predictions as we go along, because, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I fancy Portugal, and I think it's probably going to be a 3-0 thrashing in that respect. Evening, Stevie Cole, as well. Thank you for joining me this fine evening. I hope you're enjoying yourself wherever you are as well. Great to have you on, mate. And yeah, what did you make of the previous game, Turkey and Georgia? I didn't get to see all of it, but I did get to see the key moments. And all I can say was beautiful, absolutely beautiful game it was in terms of that intensity between both sides. So, yeah, very fun to watch. And yeah, it was so much fun. But what have you made of the first round games, everyone, as well? I know there's quite a few of you that have joined, so make yourself known. Say hello. How do you think this tournament's fared so far? Yes, it was, Steve. Yes, it was very good, wasn't it? What was your favourite goal? Just out of curiosity. Arda Güler, obviously having a fantastic game. That was kind of the Turkey side that I would say we've been kind of craving, right? We've kind of maybe, I don't want to say it, I don't want to say a certain horse, but that is the Turkey side that we have been looking forward to, right? These are the teams that we've been kind of tipping in the past, and we've never really seen it, but they did deliver on this occasion as well. So as we speak, we've got the national anthems being played. Czech Republic has just played, and now we are seeing the Portuguese national anthem play out as well. Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating evening, that's for sure. So we'll see how this pans out in terms of the game flow as well. All I would say from my point of view as well, Czech Republic, when I did see them against Poland, wasn't necessarily too impressed with them. I feel possibly they'll be a bit underwhelming. It'll be interesting to see if they can get the kind of evoke the memory, should we say, of previous Czech teams. Can they be the dark horses? Can they kind of defy the odds where they're not fancied? You know, they haven't got necessarily big name players in their squad as they previously used to. If you remember the likes of Nedved, for example, Jan Koller, Thomas Rosicki as well. Some really big staple players. They haven't had that kind of generation come through yet necessarily. So it's going to be fascinating. Obviously, they're going to be very much reliant on those established players within the squad, the likes of CZECHIA EURO as well, Horšek, and obviously we've got Patrick Schick as well. So from a Czech Republic point of view, they're going to lean towards that experience. That'll be fascinating to see. But yeah, they're just showing the squads themselves. It looks like it's going to be, in comparison to what I shared you guys on FootMob, it seems like Portugal are actually opting for a 3-5-2 formation, which seems more realistic, to be brutally honest, with Ronaldo and Leao up top, with João Cancelo being predominantly on that right-hand side. But as I speculate, I think it wouldn't surprise me even if they do swap sides as well. So, yeah, handshakes. It looks like that Czech Republic may have got or won the toss. They will kick off here in this match. Like I say, get your predictions in. Let's kind of talk about these two teams. How do you think it's going to play out? Stanek in the Czech Republic goal is going to have a very interesting game. It's fair to say. I think he's going to have a number of shots against him. It'll be interesting because Martinez as well, having to prove himself potentially again with a different squad. And it'll be interesting actually to get your thoughts as well. Do you think Roberto Martinez was unfairly dubbed when he was with the Belgium squad as maybe an underachiever? Because there's that much hyped kind of golden generation with the Belgium squad. With Roberto Martinez here, he's led them fantastically well in the qualification campaign as well, you know, unbeaten in that run. And the other point to pull out just before they kick off is Portugal have played Czech Republic 5 times now, and they've won 4 times and only drawn once against the Czech Republic. So form is certainly in the favour of the Portuguese, and it's actually Portugal to take kickoff here. So we are literally seconds away. So guys, get your predictions as we go along just before anyone scores, right? Stevie Cole now comes through with a message of Martinez is the Spanish Southgate. It'll be actually fascinating. Do you think Spain maybe would be tempted to have him as their national coach one day? Because you know what? He seems quite adapted, quite suited to doing just the international roles at the moment. Doesn't seem like he's got that appetite anymore to do club football. I know he was touted after the Belgium role, wasn't he, for potentially a move into a domestic club. I forgot who he was linked with at the time. But yeah. So interestingly, Stevie Cole coming here with a prediction of 2-1 to Czechia. Guys, get your thoughts, get your predictions in as we talk this. 48 seconds in, Czech Republic almost carving an opportunity for Uchafal on that right-hand side. He's going to be quite big for them, I think, in terms of maybe making sure Rafael Leao is quiet on that left-hand side for Portugal. Also, you've got the experience of Bruno Fernandes as well, so that'll be fascinating to see what happens. But back to that point about Roberto Martinez, Stevie Cole also chipping in here. He is afraid to make big decisions. I don't know. Maybe he's just had it easy, Stevie. I think potentially he's had it easy with the kind of quality potentially that he's had at his disposal, both here for the Portuguese side and also maybe for the Belgium squad to an extent. What I would say, though, is restored some faith and positivity into this Portuguese side. Maybe you could have argued that wasn't really difficult given that they previously had Fernando Santos. And Stevie Cole, you probably know about my feelings about Fernando Santos given his reign with Poland as well. If there was a manager that could be worse than Czesław Michniewicz, it was certainly Fernando Santos, that's for sure. And I don't care if he's won a Euros previously. He was terrible. He was absolutely awful. Here we go. We've just had potentially an opportunity there. Bernardo Silva running behind the lines from a through ball from Bruno Fernandes here. And yeah, unfortunately, I think he was trying to cross it in potentially for someone. I think he was looking for Ronaldo there, but he was way over. And it's a goal kick for the Czechs to restart this. But yeah, I was with that Georgia-Turkey game, I was not anticipating that we would see that kind of drama earlier today. Obviously, a lot of hype for the Georgians, their first major tournament. We were hoping to see the best of Kvaratskhelia. What was the thoughts of generally everyone who's on this live stream? What did you think? Were we disappointed by Kvarat's kind of effort? Back to that Martinez point. Stevie Cole here. Played players in Belgium who hated each other, but played based on names. It's one of the reasons, in his opinion, why they failed. I think, Stevie, if you look at the kind of arguments with Tedesco currently with Thibaut Courtois, I think there's an element that's still ongoing. It's a rife kind of potentially attitude problems or culture that is not right within that Belgium squad. And maybe it needs weeding out, because certainly it feels like there's certain players that seem to think that they have control over the team, the ethos, and that's hampering them. You know, look, Belgium have kind of rebuilt since the 2000s, right? They've got this young prospects come through this team, and maybe they've got or become big-headed in the process. So I don't know. It's one of those that I think it was always a difficult task for whoever went in there. It was always going to be one of those tough chalices, almost like, look, you've got this generation, a bit like when Sven actually had it with England. Maybe the expectations just got overwhelmed them. It was too much for them, and they didn't really concentrate on the basics. Sometimes you just got to have someone that kind of looks at it holistically. Almost feel like that is what's missing. And potentially, if you look at Gareth Southgate right now, maybe he's not looking at the situation as well as he could do. I'm sure there's a lot of different trains of thoughts when it comes to England, that's for sure. But yeah, it's fascinating. We're 5 minutes in, by the way, guys. So far, Portugal in possession here. They're trying to get down those wings, certainly. Kufal clearing to avoid Rafael Leao having any time on the ball. And that's conceded a corner as we speak. Pepe running into the box to make himself a presence in that area. I have to say, aerially as well, they are a threat, Portugal. I haven't heard many people actually tip them for these Euros. And maybe that's works in their advantage. I don't know what you guys think, but certainly from my point of view, they're one of the teams to watch out for, definitely. Obviously, high expectation to qualify out of this group. But yeah, they've got all the abilities and the depth to really succeed. But is Stevie Cole correct here in the kind of assumption maybe Martinez is going to be the hindrance for this Portugal side? What do we think? The Czechs here, they've managed to regain possession in a position that they weren't expected to, and there was only about 3 of them in the Portuguese side, but now the Czechs have started to come in numbers into the Portuguese half now. Starting to take the sting out of it now and play it around. We've just got Rafael Leao now running at the Czechs as we speak, setting up Ronaldo, but he cannot get his head on target. Stevie Cole, thank you for the continuation of the questions. Keep them coming. Portugal have a similar issue to Belgium, that some players hate CR7 because of his status. Yes, there is a certain arrogance, right, with certain individuals, and CR7 certainly evokes that kind of feeling at the moment. The way I almost see it is he's at the latter part of his career now. I don't think he's going to be there at the next tournament, and I foresee this being his last tournament. So I suspect there's going to be a lot of sentiment of doing it for Ronaldo in this tournament. He's leading them as the captain. I think they see the value of him, obviously still scoring a lot of goals in the qualification process as well. But yeah, completely agree with you there that there must be an element of people really annoyed with his kind of behavior. We saw it with when we saw that kind of outbursts against Man United at the time, and Bruno Fernandes subsequently on that training camp dismissing and brushing aside Ronaldo. So yeah, I suspect there is a lot of ill feeling potentially, but they are professionals, and I suspect, Stevie Cole, we will hear these stories later on in life. We will hear about these players and what they actually think of CR7. But there is that winning mentality with him. Obviously, he craves it. He wants to do the very best for his nation, right? So you can't blame the guy. You can't blame him. He's been a winner in most places, right? And valid point here again by Stevie. Some of it's not his fault. It's definitely a media portrayal here. Definitely around the fact that it's CR7 and 10 other players. Those 10 other players are equally as good, if in some cases better in their roles. And I would say some of them are one of the top performing ones across Europe right now. They're one of what you would consider as potentially maybe one of the world's greats as well, if you look at the depth that they've got in that squad. I mean, the disappointment for me going into this tournament, Stevie, I don't know about you, but is Rafael Leao. I think on his day, he can be such a menace. He can be someone that really can push on with his career. But he's had a terrible spell with Milan. And this is the issue that I find with Rafael Leao, is that he just needs to work on his consistency. He needs to maybe look at what Cristiano Ronaldo has done, how he's managed to kind of ensure that he gets those performances on a consistent basis. You know, there's been times where Cristiano Ronaldo has had shockers, but he's delivered in terms of either assist or like goals. And that's the element, I think, with Rafael Leao. Look, he can do that. There's been games where he hasn't been brilliant, but he's kind of contributed in those kind of pieces in certain games for Milan. So he just needs to work on that. As we speak, he's just done two foul, got to the byline, got the cross in, and it got cleared eventually by the Czechs. And as we speak, ball in from Bruno Fernandes, but floated and easy for Stanek, the Czech keeper, to grab. Bit of pressure there for Stanek in the goal. But Sufal has managed to retrieve possession, and he's given it away, unfortunately, trying to slide the ball down the sides. At the moment, it seems like quite a stiff, rigid formation from the Czechs. They are looking to basically defend in numbers. at the moment. So they're almost going into a 5 or 6 at times at the back. I think they're going to absorb as much of this pressure that they take from the Portuguese. The Portuguese are going to have to be patient, is what I'm having a look at this now. They are threading the balls, but unfortunately, they're just not getting it to the front men necessarily every time. So they're just going to have to be patient, a bit similar to the French game last night, where we saw France really creating a lot of opportunities eventually, but they were struggling to do that kind of intricate moves that were going to create those moments. I'll tell you what, though, that picture of Mbappe with that nose, that was definitely disjointed. That's for sure. They are reporting that it's anywhere between 20 to 15 days. And he's going to potentially miss the Poland game as well as the Netherlands game, which is the next game for France. And that game takes place on Friday, believe it or not. Surprising how quickly this tournament kind of goes by, right? But this is the Euros, guys. We're going to see a lot of football over the next few days. And to Stevie Cole's point, Portugal have a few hot and cold players, which makes them dangerous, but not talked about. Yeah, Stevie, I think that is likely with Mbappe. He's definitely not going to be playing until the knockouts at this range. Rate even rather than range. But yeah, when you look at the depth that the French squad have as well, they should have enough players within them to see it through this group stage. I think there is a lot of concern for the likes of Griezmann after those challenges he had. In particular, I think it's rumoured that his knee, in particular for the second clash where he I think he was challenged by Wimmer. That challenge in particular was the one that may have aggravated his knee injury. So we shall wait and see. I think they're going to rest him and see how he reacts over the next few days. But certainly there's a lot more concern about Griezmann than there is around Mbappe, which, given the context, I think that shows you how important that kind of creative element is going to be for the French squad. I think we saw signs yesterday, actually, of the French squad where I think they really do genuinely, they struggle when they're being pressed. When they're being pressed, we saw a lot of those players like your likes of Dembele that don't do naturally the tracking back. Then you're losing a man in the process. And from a creative point of view, I don't know who you think naturally fits that kind of mold. This is potentially where maybe Michael Olise should have been brought into the squad. Can you imagine the impact that Michael Olise could have had on this French squad? It'll be fascinating if he's going to still hang out and wait out for his opportunity. But the one player that I'd love to see play for the French squad at the moment is Barcola. As we've just speaking, Mendes has had a shot from distance just outside of the box. And yeah, a bit wayward, let's put it that way. The conditions obviously starting to lash down there in Leipzig. So it's not looking great in terms of maybe getting crisp connections at the moment. This could play a part in terms of how this game pays out as well. Could be an argument to say the Czechs could potentially like these conditions better than the Portuguese. Certainly, this is all about the kind of zippiness of the pitch now. It's all down to how well that kind of is controlled. At the moment, it seems like the pitch is in a good place at the moment. It doesn't seem to be any patches right now, so that's good, I suppose. Almost intercepted there. Pepe's ball to Bernardo Silva there was slightly intercepted by, is it Sluk? Oh, Gudera. Or Dudera even, sorry. Dudera. Portugal still retaining possession as we speak right now. The Czechs starting to come out a bit more, maybe a bit more relaxed now in terms of formation. So it looks like, interestingly, they're still keeping to their runners, still tracking their main target man, but you can quite start to see that it looks like the Czechs are going with a 5-3-2 formation at times here, even though it was widely speculated that this would be 3-5-2. I think that adaptability is always going to be on the cards. It's interesting as well because this is very similar to the way maybe the Scots were planning to play against Germany. But obviously, Czechs seem to be more well kind of managed in that respect, a bit more composed in their positions right now. A floated ball now from Portugal, defended by Chufal, and it's another corner for Portugal. Let's see what they can do from here. Stevie Cole with the comment, Portugal are too slow at the moment. Yes, certainly. They need to be quicker when they get into that final third, don't they? I think when they come to points where they're stretching the Czechs, that's where they're going to have to take those moments. But at the moment, when they get into that final third, they're just playing around with it. They're not actually trying to create some opportunity here. So at the moment, it seems like they're playing for these kind of set plays. I don't know how you feel, Steve, but it feels like at the moment, when they get into that final third, they're expecting a mistake from the Czechs. I don't know necessarily if that's going to play out that way. Equally, the Czechs are just absorbing this at the moment. I think they'll be the happiest of the two right now. We're entering almost the 20th minute now. They seem more content at the moment, given how quickly kind of Portugal came out of the blocks initially. But let's see how this pans out, really. By the way, guys, if you are joining me on Twitter or Instagram and you want to get involved, please visit the YouTube channel, get your questions, get your thoughts about the game perhaps, or anything you want to discuss right now, anything Euros related perhaps. What was your thoughts about yesterday's games as well? Let me know. But yeah, certainly we had a great game earlier with Turkey. Turkey really proving that they have got that ability on their day. I was hoping actually Georgia would get the result, but you have to hand it to the Turks. They did really well on this occasion. They played really well. That goal by Arda Güler in particular, beautiful goal, showing us the ability that he's got and why he's at Real Madrid and maybe the man to look out for next season. Cristiano Ronaldo going to the bylines here, taking on Chufal, getting it to Rafael Leao now. There's a bit of intricate passing going on. Here's where they've got to take their opportunities. This is what you mentioned, Steve Cole. They are a bit too slow to reactions here. Well, kind of chased down by, I think it's Sluk, and he's chased down Ruben Diaz's shot there. It's corner and it's side netting, but it's given for another corner here. 21st minute or 21 minutes gone now. Czechs doing relatively well. They've absorbed everything that the Portuguese have thrown at them without really causing anything themselves yet at this stage. Pepe with the header, but it's cleared out by the Czechs, who unfortunately don't seem to have anyone that can really hold on to the ball, maybe drag it out and give them some space in terms of breathing space. They need some willing runners who can just take the ball, dribble, go up the other end. Bernardo Silva for Portugal here. Bruno Fernandes getting tackled in the process, losing possession, and Czechs subsequently lose possession as well as Pepe retrieves possession and starts playing it around. Diego Dalot now. Yeah, Arda Güler has come in with a lot of hype, Stevie. I heard about him at Fenerbahce, and yeah, he's got something about him, hasn't he? Just the fact that I think, given the amount of talents that there are at Real Madrid, there's a fear factor that maybe we might not see a lot of him at Real Madrid next season. However, if he continues to impress at this tournament, I have no doubts about it. And Portugal just have a shot from distance, courtesy of Bruno Fernandes there. A dipping shot, which seems to have just taken a slight deflection off a Czech player. So corner to Portugal here. 23 minutes here. Who else has impressed you, Steve? Has there been any other players at this stage? I know it's very early, but has there been anyone else that's really impressed you? For me, I mean, the obvious one seems to be Jamal Musiala. He was really impressive for Germany, and I know it was only against Scotland, who really did struggle against the Germans, but he had that bit about him, didn't he? He looked really impressive on Friday evening against Scotland. Oh dear. Yeah, BBC calling him the Turkish Messi, nothing like him. He'll probably go to a decent club on loan. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he does get a chance. Maybe he will end up a bit like a Martin Odegaard, where, maybe they find that there's not enough space for him. There's not an opportunity for him, given the amounts of players that they've got at their disposal right now. How are they going to make room for the likes of Endrick, Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo? And I appreciate, you've got players like Cruz and Modric leaving Real Madrid, but they're different types of players, aren't they? So this is the thing. But yeah, Arda Güler, love to see him at another club. Where would you like to see him, more importantly, Stevie? Would you like to see him at another European club? Would you like to see him in the Premier League? Or would the Premier League ruin him? He needs the right coach, that's for sure. And Rafael Leao almost gets on the end of a tasty ball from João Cancelo there. I think it was João anyway. João slides in. No, it's Bruno Fernandes even. Credit where it's due. That would be beautiful. Nuri Sahin, obviously being potentially installed as the coach to replace Terzic. And yeah, that would be amazing to see. It'd be fascinating, actually, if the Bundesliga could maybe get a hold of some of these players. I know Jadon Sancho has spoken about wanting to potentially stay at Dortmund now, but the problem would be is agreeing a fee with Man United in the process, which, whilst I appreciate Man United would be happy to ship Jadon Sancho off, I don't think Borussia Dortmund are in a position to offer him anything like a 50 million fee or anything like that. I think they will probably be on the shyer side of that. And it's interesting, actually, Mats Hummels, despite the kind of background noise of him wanting Terzic out, being released is what I've heard. Being released, so we won't see Mats Hummels at Dortmund next season. That is, after the season that he's had this season, I thought they'd maybe consider keeping him on for another season, but clearly they're looking for a clear out. It's a shame, because I think his experience for Dortmund, he helped them in that particular Champions League run, and he was absolutely immense. Some of those performances in that Champions League run, in particular, the game against Milan stands out for me. He just looks supreme in that match. Reminded me of why was a lot of hype around Mats Hummels. It's mental, really. Georgia had a few decent players not called Faradona. Yeah, I watch all of the games, but if there are many others, then the obvious. Yeah, they've got a few players, haven't they? They've got one that plays for Watford, Chimatse, but Makotadze, the one that scored the goal. It's an interesting season that he's had, Makotadze, who obviously started off at Ajax. They didn't really give too much game time to him, so he moved off on loan back to his club Metz that he was previously at. Scores a lot of goals, and unfortunately unable to keep them up in Ligue 1. And subsequently, he's earned a move prior to the tournament kicking off to Monaco. So Monaco got some good business there done nice and early. But Makotadze, he's a player that I suspect will score another goal in the next round of games. I think he will be the catalyst for Georgia potentially. So that's the player that I would recognise as the one to keep an eye out on. I need to remind myself actually who is in that Georgia squad as well while we speak. Unfortunately, again, Portugal a bit sloppy when they get into that final third. We're approaching the half-hour mark now here. I think we would have expected potentially to be a goal from a Portuguese point of view anyway. But the Czechs, you've got to hand it to them. They've done really well. By the way, Stevie Cole, what did you think of Mamardashvili, the goalkeeper for Georgia? He's been linked with Newcastle United and Man United as moves. I could see him doing quite well in the Premier League, actually. I just don't know who's in the position to need a goalkeeper right now. From the Premier League side, anyway. And Stevie Cole here, the player who scored the first Romania goal, was decent. Yes, that's Stanchu. Currently plays in, believe it or not, Saudi Arabia. It's mental. Believe it or not, there are 13 players at this tournament that currently play in Saudi Arabia. One of them we are seeing tonight in Ronaldo. But can you name the other 12? Yeah, I think Stanchu is possibly, if he can build on that first performance against Ukraine, I'd love to see him potentially in a maybe more well-established club than where he is at the moment. I think I want to say he's an Al-Ahly. I think that's how you pronounce it. Let me just double check for you now, Stevie Cole. Through ball to Ronaldo, and what a save by Stanek. Rebound to Vitinha. And now my live stream has just gone quiet. Let me just sort that out now. And he's managed to reclaim that from Vitinha. I think my live stream's just slowed down, just literally that very moment. Got the live stream back on. Get Ronaldo off. Laugh out loudly. That was the moment, though, wasn't it, Stevie? That was the moment that we anticipated that. And that's probably the first time that Portugal have managed to get an opportunity for him, actually, in fairness to him. The other times have all been headers or scraps, really, that he's had to work off. Right, Portugal getting into it. I think there's space that's starting to come through now. Ronaldo feeding through. Is it Vitinha just then? They're getting closer. The opportunities are starting to open up. I think this Czech side is starting to tire out a little bit, but that was a good... Was it Haranats? Haranats, I think, just got that interception just then. Really important from a Czech point of view. Ideally, from a Czech point of view, they want to ensure that they get into halftime at 0-0. That gives them a little bit more breathing space rather than you don't want to be chasing the game. But they've defended well again. The Czechs have done quite well from a defensive point of view. It would not surprise me if we see Anton Barak come on for the second half. Cleared again by the Czechs. Stevie Cole here with Barak. Would love to see Barak on. Rated him at Verona. Wasn't so good at Fiorentina. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I feel, Stevie, that I think it might be a Vincenzo Italiano thing with Barak not being able to replicate the form that he demonstrated at Hellas. At times he didn't help himself, right? I think there's been elements in games where his form hasn't been great. He could have been a lot better. However, we've seen it with a number of players actually at Fiorentina where they've just struggled under Italiano. I wonder personally if potentially that could have been the opportunity now going forward. But it would not surprise me if Barak doesn't really push on now and he gets moved to another club. I think if anyone comes in from a Serie A perspective, signs him up, I think, the opportunity will be that they'll go for him. That's the thing. Just replay of that opportunity where it fell to Vitinha from a back heel from Ronaldo. And you can still see resolute performance from the back line of the Czechs. It's quite clear here that they've got a solid bank of 5 at the back, even though you haven't got that many Portuguese attackers really playing through that centre. They seem to be spread out a lot more, kind of almost like a flying V. Reminds you of the Mighty Ducks film. Maybe, I don't think they've been inspired by that. Maybe Roberto Martinez has. I don't know. But yeah, 10 more minutes to go of normal time here in this match. Portugal being patient, though, that's the one thing. They're not getting frustrated here. I think they know it's going to be one of those games of chess, really. Rafael Leao almost being played through there by Bernardo Silva. He's got the ball again. Plays it back to Rafael Leao. It's cleared by the Czechs. Rafael Leao, I think, is a player that's probably going to have to maybe intertwine in between the kind of forward lines. I think he's too heavily relied upon from a left-hand side perspective. As we speak, CZECHIA is on the ground complaining, I think. I don't know if it's cramp or if it's a foot injury. Looks like potentially the Czechs might be getting some replacements ready just in case. Let's have a look. Just kind of went down from the replays. He just knelt down. So I don't know. Was he just trying to get some breathing space, perhaps? Does look like he's wincing, so I think he's going to try and run it off. And as Stevie Cool refers to it, gamesmanship, definitely. Any time to waste, right, Stevie Cool? You need to do that sometimes, especially against the better sides. Anything to disrupt their rhythm is what you need to do. I don't know if this is the right moment, though, for it. Wait a few more minutes and then do it, right? Just annoy them when it comes closer to half-time. Anyway, the Czechs have just got part of the ball. It's just that final product from a Czech point of view. But they are in the final third. Chufal here with a cross. Oh, I think that was Patrick Schick that was trying to get on the end of it then. Just really couldn't place his header. Rafael Leao has just been swiped by CZECHIA, and it's a yellow card to CZECHIA. Now, I think this is going to be, it looks like it's going to be a free kick outside the area. I don't think that was inside the area, but yeah, anticipate the Portuguese to do something from this now. Yeah, on the replays. Looks a bit of a dive, to be brutally honest. I know CZECHIA. Does CZECHIA do much wrong there? Oh, Rafael Leao has actually been given the yellow card. So actually, the referee wasn't conned by that. Fair play. Well done. Leao was diving. That's beautiful. Great refereeing there. You have to hand it to the referee. I think he's done quite well so far. I know it's too early to say sometimes for referees, but give them credit where it's due. He saw that one, saw it for what it was, and wasn't hoodwinked by Rafael Leao. Rafael Leao has that in his locker, though, doesn't he, Stevie? I don't know if you've seen much of him at Milan, but he can try and win, say, free kicks that he shouldn't do. The Czechs with an opportunity here in the Portuguese half. They're putting the pressure on them. Rafael Leao rescuing the situation, retrieving possession, and the Portuguese are now playing it out, running into the Czech half now. But the Czechs, they've got 5 players behind or in front of the ball, so they're doing quite well. Ronaldo having to lay off the ball to Diego Dalot. Portuguese here, we've just approached the 40th minute mark. Just taking their time now. They're really starting to be patient again. As I said, that the Czechs have just regained possession through too far. They've just lost it now. And this is the problem for the Czechs. The moment they get it into that final third, they just seem to just not be able to retain possession. It just bounces back to a Portuguese player. Stevie Cole with the comments, possibly a cheeky one, I'm sure, Stevie. Good job. It wasn't Michael Oliver. Yeah, probably would have been given for foul, knowing him. And another point from you, Stevie. Thank you for keeping me entertained here. Portugal have too many similar players in the same place. It is difficult, though, Stevie, to get a balanced squad, right? Sometimes, like when you're thinking about it, you sometimes need a combination, right? You need individually talented players in certain positions, and then you also need players that are going to be really helping you out from a team perspective as well. And sometimes actually the teams that do well are the teams that don't rely too heavily on individual talents in every position, right? They tend to be the teams that, you know, they work well as a whole team. Maybe individually they're not all talented in that respect, but they do quite well in their positions. Just having a few issues with my live stream now, so I'm just sorting that out, guys. So I do apologize if things are happening as we speak. Just trying to resolve this now. Like with England, Silva and Fernandes want to be in the same area. And this is possibly down to a discipline thing, right? So you need to be able to, I suppose, make sure that there is a system, right? I do feel for international managers because half the time they don't get to work with their squads for a long period of time. So I wonder sometimes, I know people aren't so keen on this, but where players get called up to camps, for example, let them have a week together. Let them kind of understand the players a lot better. Don't necessarily need friendlies to obviously help that out. I mean, obviously that's the main driver for a lot of it, is that they want to have international friendlies. They want that to be played. That's revenue for a lot of these nations. But yeah, it's a difficult one, right? It is a difficult one for a nation to get that kind of consistency sometimes. Do apologize here, guys, because I am struggling for any connection right now. Don't know what's happened here. And to your point, Stevie, but then their managers tell them to be injured. This is the problem, isn't it? I think there almost has to be a system in place where it goes, right, you get called up and that's it. That's what happens, right? You don't get a choice in terms of like deciding what you're going to do going forward. You've got to be ready for your nation. But then equally, Stevie, I don't know, what's your thoughts on the Ben White situation? Because clearly he doesn't like the atmosphere that he's got at England, right? He doesn't appreciate what there is down there. And sometimes if you can't get that camaraderie, you can't get that togetherness sometimes. Only points out to maybe the coaching staff there. Now we know about, it appears very evident that it's a Steve Holland thing, right? I think that's the kind of anticipation that it is a Steve Holland situation that's causing a lot of the disgruntlement from a Ben White point of view. And I feel for someone like Mikel Arteta, if he was in the role, would we have seen something better potentially in terms of the way that they set out? And I'm talking about England here, like, could we have seen a better kind of togetherness versus what Gareth Southgate is achieving? Potentially this is where maybe the focus needs to be going forward. Is it a case that actually that Southgate's done as much as he can with this group of players, and whilst he is trying to reinvigorate the kind of squad itself with certain personnel no longer part of the fold, I'm referring to the likes of Jordan Henderson here, who was kind of a very much a reliant figure within that team for Southgate anyway in particular. you can see that actually right now it's taking some time. It's taking some time. I think he's lucky in some respects that he's got individuals like Jude Bellingham, who, you know, is phenomenal right now. The fact that he's able to call upon him and he can do a lot of that kind of taking the pressure off him right now. That is really important for Gareth Southgate right now. Same manager never resolves the same issues. Yep. And that's it. Right then, guys. So looks like it's half time. Unfortunately, my stream just didn't work very well towards the end there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a break to resolve my stream. All I would say from summary, Czech Republic doing quite well, resolutely, keeping well, and playing through the kind of onslaught of attacks, although Portugal didn't really have too many opportunities with the exception of that Cristiano Ronaldo opportunity. So guys, go and get yourself a drink, enjoy your half times, and I will see you shortly in a while. See you at the second half. And we are about to see the second half unfold. So if you're joining me here from Instagram or Twitter, please get involved, get your questions in as we go along. More importantly, if you can, it would be really appreciated if you can join us from the YouTube channel, get your questions in from there, because unfortunately, for some reason, the software is not pulling through your questions from Instagram and Twitter. So join us there. What's your thoughts so far? If you haven't seen the game so far, in summary, Portugal have had to be very patient. Czechs really, I suppose, defending very resolutely without offering too much in attack. So it'll be fascinating to see how the second half pans out. One of the things that I'd say overriding kind of thoughts is that the Czechs have been quite disciplined in terms of the way they've gone about their business. But it'll be a case of that they need a bit of quality up top. They need those moments, and certainly they need to put themselves about in the third half of the pitch, really. I think they've really struggled. And maybe this is part of the game plan. This is to absorb as much of the pressure that they're getting from Portugal right now. And yeah, Portugal seemingly really struggling to get the likes of Ronaldo into the game. He did have an opportunity, but was well saved by Stanek in the Czech goal. And as we speak, Portugal having an opportunity for Delat, but it's gone over. So one of the things I'd also say is potentially the weather is going to play a part here. It's been raining for the majority of the game here in Leipzig. And you could argue that potentially this will be in favour of the Czechs, who are possibly more adapted to these kind of conditions. However, never say never with this. I think Portugal have got the quality to potentially see this Czech side aside, literally. Just seeing an injury potentially here to Mendes here, the left-sided defender for Portugal, and it's being pulled back right now. So for those that are joining me, what's your thoughts on the tournament so far? Any players that have really been interested in? Have there been any players you've been taken aback by as well? Who surprised you so far in this tournament as well? From a game perspective, I think Romania caused potentially the shock yesterday with the result against the Ukraine. A lot of people had the Ukraine as the underdogs. However, they gave them a game. Stevie Cole, 15 minutes, and we will see potentially Ramos and Felix. João Felix, that is, the guy that struggled at Chelsea, but has played really well at Barcelona. Not too sure about Ramos. He hasn't had a phenomenal or great season at PSG after that move from Benfica. Obviously, a lot of hype at Benfica for his goal-scoring exploits, and to a degree for the Portugal national side as well. And for Tino, they're wasting a corner routine there, overhits a ball. I think it was meant to be floated into the box, but subsequently just went way over Stanek's goal. So yeah, let's see how the Czechs approach it. Again, Stevie Cole, I would anticipate we'll see Barak come on. As I mentioned, Adam Horšek as well. I would not be surprised if he comes on, given that Patrick Schick hasn't necessarily had a huge sort of game time so far. I think his partner in crime up top for the Czech Republic, I'm just getting his name again. It is Kuchta. I think he is going to be the player that might be sacrificed here because he really hasn't offered anything. I can see why he would be on the pitch. He seems very much like a target man style player, but he's not really threatened at any time now. Could that be because they're waiting for set play? But they haven't really had many opportunities, have they, really? I'm just double checking here in terms of stats. I think they had one corner. I might be mistaken there. Have they had a corner? Because I can't recall it. No corners. It's all been Portugal. There we go. Schick from a position. And he floats the ball way over. Must have been dreaming of Scotland all over again. And I'm sure the Czechs would love another moment similar to that, but it's unlikely to happen tonight against Diego Carlos. Portuguese look quite comfortable when they're on the ball, but it's just creating those clear-cut chances, I would say, up top. They need to, as Steve Cool alluded to earlier, they need to be quicker in that final third. They need to be doing something a bit more intuitive or less intuitive, perhaps. They need to be more dynamic in their play, certainly. Will João Felix be the man to do that? I also argue that potentially, could they do with influence from a midfield point of view? I mean, I've not necessarily been that impressed by Bruno Fernandes here in this game. I'm just having a look at who they have on the bench that they could potentially change it up with. Because you've got Ruben Neves, you got Diego Jota, Neto as well. Neto, we know about what his abilities are from Wolves this season. Stevie Cole with a cheeky comment there saying, Schick, Roma's addition, make an appearance. Yes, certainly his record at Roma wasn't brilliant, was it there? He did eventually, however, get his scoring boots on when he turned up at Bayer Leverkusen this season with 13 goals in the campaign, which is not to be sniffed at, right? Given that this is the Xabi Alonso Bayer Leverkusen. However, very much rotated with the likes of Victor Boniface and Adam Horschek as well. I think scoring only 7 goals in the campaign this season, if I'm not mistaken. I will double check that stat actually, but I'm pretty sure when I was reading it earlier today, it was something along those lines that he'd scored 7 goals this season. Let's have a look. Yeah, 7 goals, 5 assists. So not a bad return for the guy who's really only been famed for 1 or 2 seasons where he's been in double figures for Sparta Prague, scoring 15 and 12 goals. Subsequent seasons when he was part of their team before the hype kind of came about his abilities. Anyway, Nuno Mendes on the ball, losing it there, but gaining a throw-in, which Rafael Leao takes quickly. Portugal are all camped in the Czech half, which I think to the Czechs' credit, not really cracking under this pressure. They're doing quite well, formidably, just steady, resolute, allowing them to keep the ball. But at some points, they are going to become quite tired. So they're going to have to introduce some subs just to freshen it up. You can start to see a bit of frustration in the face of Bruno Fernandes there. Potentially here, this is what Portugal are having to do, is they're camped out now a bit more in their half, playing the ball, trying to drag out the Czechs. I think that's what they're going to have to do, is allow the Czechs to start making the runs into their half, and then think about the quick combinations here, the transitions of how they can get from their half quickly into the final third. We've got Bernardo Silva now running at them. Vitinha, Dalot, Ruben Diaz. Doing some intricate passing now. Ruben Diaz with a cross into the box, but it's headed over. Cristiano Ronaldo there, I think, asking for a corner, but he's the one that headed it over. Replay now. I think it touches the Czech defender, so that is a corner. Corner given to the Portuguese. Can they make the most of this? Really important that they do. They haven't been very good from corners. That's all I'm going to say. They haven't been very good so far. Well cleared there, Pepe. Trying to get on the end of that. That's well defended there by the Czechs. And they clear the lines only to as far as Bruno Fernandes. Well, it wasn't Bruno Fernandes, because Bruno Fernandes is on the ball now. Again, well defended by the Czechs. Just to evade the pressure from Cristiano Ronaldo, and Stanek just had to claw at the ball that was scooped into the area. Portugal retrieving possession in the Czech half, but they're now trying to recycle the ball and see what they can do in the meantime. Stevie Cole, surprised he hasn't moaned at someone. Yeah, he's been quite patient, hasn't he? CR7. He hasn't really... I think he realises that this is going to be one of those games. It's not going straightforward. He's got to be patient. They're not ruffling his feathers just yet. But give it another 50 minutes, Steve. We will see what his reactions will be. João Cancelo here on the ball for Portugal. Is this going to be a draw, guys? What do you think? If I'm not mistaken, we haven't had a draw yet in the first round games yet. This could be the first Euro game, potentially, where it's been a draw in the fixture. Just having a look back. Actually, no, incorrect. Slovenia and Denmark have already drawn in this first group game round. Steve Cole, you meant Bruno. Yeah. He's more used to doing that at Man United, right? He's more used to moaning at them. I think he realises that he's got better ability players around him. So, Portugal have a free kick here. Looks like it's around 30 yards out. Ronaldo shaping up here, whilst his teammates are trying to make themselves a nuisance in front of the Czech wall. Let's see what Ronaldo can do here. Straight at Stanek. Predictably for a Ronaldo free kick. Straight at him. And again, Czechs not being able to do much when they get the possession. They're losing at that possession. And it's back in the hands of Portugal. They are just able to do a lot more with the ball. Portugal now keeping hold of possession. Oh, and there's an opportunity there for Bernardo Silva, but fantastic recovery from Haranets. That was well played. He was onside there, and he was looking to slide in a player when possibly he should have gone for it himself there. But from the resultant corner, they have maintained possession so far, which was a surprise that they didn't want to whip it into the box. But I think they're seeing the strengths of the Czechs, that they're quite good from the set pieces at the moment. They're defending resolutely. They're doing really well. Rafael Leao now, but his shot is blocked by Chufal. Ball into the box, but it evades everyone, including Bernardo Silva, who cannot keep it in. Stevie Cole, in relation to the Ronaldo free kick, at least it didn't hit the wall. Makes a change, right, Steve? Although looking at the replays, it was very close to hitting that wall as well. I can imagine during training, he probably hits a lot of those dummy walls a lot, knowing him. Anyway, the Czechs have been forced to make their first substitutes. Lingard is coming on for Kuchta even. This was the man that I said, yeah, he was the target man-like player. And Patrick Schick coming off here for Chitel. Don't know too much about him. Let's have a quick look at Chitel. See what he's all about. So, fresh legs for the Czechs. Could this give them a bit more pace up top? A bit more running, more importantly. So, Mumar Chital, this season for Slavia Prague, scoring 21 goals, 5 assists. And Andre Lingard, who plays for Feyenoord. This season, 27 appearances, 4 goals, 1 assist. He was brought in from Slavia Prague after what looks like he's quite an interesting player. Consistently on the scoring sheet. Previous 2 seasons, he scored 16 and 15 goals respectively. 4 assists in the 2022 and 23 season. And 21-22, he had 1 assist. So maybe a player to keep an eye out on here, guys. Let's see. Because Lingard was playing just there on that right-hand side. Czechs have got it in the Portuguese half. Whipped in across right now. Putting a bit more pressure here. Chufal here. And we have our goal. Brilliant effort there. And the Czechs have taken a lead against the run of play. What a goal. Well taken. First time. That was absolutely brilliant by the Czechs. Got to hand it to them. Obviously, against very much the play. And Provod has scored the ultimate goal that gives the Czechs the lead here. Brilliant goal. Absolutely superb. Portugal looked absolutely stunned there. The ball, it was all within a minute of this football, but they stayed off their Czech players. Diego Costa in the Portugal goal didn't stand a chance. And as Stevie Cole has alluded to, what a goal. Incredible goal that was. What a beauty. And Portugal are going to make some substitutes as we speak. So Diego Jota comes on, plays off of Dalot and Rafael Leao. That was inevitable. And Gonçalo Inácio is come on as well. So let's see what Portugal will do now. They need to be more decisive. They need to be quicker with their play. That's certainly for sure. They've been too slow. Interestingly, I would have thought that they would maybe try and move Ronaldo to let him drag players out of position. That's what I would be thinking about doing. Maybe have that little word with Ronaldo as well. but the Czechs have taken their chance. Fair play to them. They've been under the cosh for the majority of the game. You know, they've had to resolutely defend here. Portugal with now Bernardo Silva. Slowly entering the last 25 minutes of the game now. So this is a very important period for the Czechs. Can they ride out the next 5 minutes at least? Keep it to this scoreline. Don't concede too much. Don't give too much time. They need the winning runners, and Chitel is just doing that now. He's taking on his men. Fair play to him. He's done really well. Unfortunately, he just ran into a Portuguese player there and lost possession in the process. Ruben Dias then overhit a ball, and it goes to Stanek to take a goal kick in the Czech goal. Roberto Martinez starting to assess his options now. That reminds me, I am planning to do another live stream watch along. It'll be Scotland versus Switzerland. Can the Scots get themselves back into this tournament? Can they win or get a point against the Swiss? I suspect that's going to be a tall ask given the Swiss's performance the other day against Hungary. But can the Scots at least inspire a better performance than they did against the Germans? As we currently look at Ronaldo's moaning at a high foot, where one of the Czech players, Provod, the goal scorer, has just got a foot to the top of his head, and it's a free kick to the Czechs. Oh, almost there. Chitel, I think it was, trying to get the ball down the wing. Czechs are being buoyed by their supporters right now. You can see they're inspired by how they've played just then. Again, they earn themselves a throw-in. Chafal. And Chafal runs down the wing. He almost gets a cross in, but it is cut out by the Portuguese, who now try and get the ball high up the pitch to Cristiano Ronaldo. It's defended well by the Czech defenders. And the Portuguese have now recycled the ball. Stevie Cole there, just adding. I'd be surprised if they get a point. Scotland at this point in time, I think, are going to definitely struggle to get any points as it currently stands based on the way they performed against the Germans. I thought Stevie Clark really didn't see the game very well. Certainly felt that he should have, at the moment when Germany had taken the second goal lead in that match, when they were 2-0 up, I thought they needed to change formation. They certainly needed to go to a flat back four. However, speaking to a few of our Scottish friends, they have reverted or have been used to playing with a back three or back five. So that seems to be a system that they've been historically known for playing. So potentially the players are much more suited to that. However, I think there was the things that we raised yesterday, Stevie, around Shea Adams, the fact that he's not really good enough to lead the line by himself. He needed some support. And that's where I think that kind of presence from Shankland, when he did eventually come on, was critical for Scotland, because whilst they have got some good midfielders in this team, I think the best one was unfortunately injured in Lewis Ferguson. So Let's have a look. Portugal here, just dancing around in the box, getting the ball, and it's an own goal, unfortunately. The ball kind of was whipped into the box. Nuno Mendes, the left back, was in a high position, gets the ball into the box, which Stanek initially, I'm waiting for the replay here, initially I think gets a save. He pushes it towards one of the Czech defenders and it bounces off the Czech defenders. So we have got a game now, everyone. 1-1. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, unfortunately, it's Haranats, I think it is. Or is it Holish? Yeah, despair for the Czechs there. Stanek pushes it out, but it just bounces off. I want to say it's Hanets. Don't know if it's been, who's it been awarded to, that goal. Haranats, yeah, Haranats. We've got a game. We have got a game now, boys. So the Czechs have to go again. 20 minutes ago now. Czechs are back, or Portugal, should I say, are back in this game. They'll be happy that they're not losing this now. Stevie Cole saying poor goalkeeping. Potentially. I mean, it's... Should he have just grabbed that? He should have potentially have just grabbed the ball, shouldn't he? But it's the conditions element as well, I think. But yeah, there's nothing the actual defender could do. I mean, you're not expecting it to bounce the way it does, but you're probably expecting your goalkeeper to at least take a bit of the pressure by grabbing hold of the ball, right? Ensuring that it doesn't go into that position. You don't want it in that position as well as a defender. I know that from all my time of being a defender as well. That's the worst place you want. You don't want that to be anywhere near that area. And you're kind of trying to hook it to ensure that it doesn't land to an attacker. Anyway, game on. That's what we're saying. Game on. And Stevie Cole, you've still got a prediction of 2-1 to the Czechs. Still potentially on. I said at the very beginning of this live stream that potentially I fancied Portugal's here to win 3-0. But it looks unlikely now, given that the Czechs scored their goal. The problem that I have with the Czechs, though, in general, is they're still whacking the ball up top. They're not really controlled in the manner when they have an opportunity to break through. They're just not giving their defensive-minded players within the squad some breathing space. They need someone that can just take off the pressure. And Portugal have just... Oh, that was a save by Stanek, the goalkeeper there. But they're not really helping themselves out here. Steve Coley would have pushed it out in the dangerous area even if the defender wasn't there. This is very true. This is very true. I think the conditions are playing a part, though, here, Steve. I think they're playing a huge part. It's one of those that when you're playing in these kind of conditions, it's one of the elements that we sometimes forget or neglect. Looking at that, though, it doesn't look like it's raining. It looks like it stopped. So it just means that the conditions are damp. It'll be interesting to actually see how damp the actual pitch is. Yeah, looking at that replay now, he should do better. He should be grabbing the hold of that ball. You can see the anguish on the defenders that he's got around him. They are absolutely gutted. Czechs again, just mucking around with the ball. They had a free kick and they were almost losing it there. Really need to do better when they get the ball into that third of the half. They need to keep hold of the ball and ensure that if they got no one running around them, that they try and play it around. the Czechs of old certainly had that ability, didn't they? The likes of Rosicky, for example, Vladimir Šmica, Nedved. I mean, even Jan Koller. He wasn't maybe the most mobile of strikers, right? But he was able to relieve the pressure. He was able to hold up the ball. And that allowed players like Milan Baros to come in. Stevie Cole here can say, as a goalkeeper, I would have been disappointed. Yeah, definitely seeing that replay now makes total sense. But these things happen, right, Stevie? Unfortunately, they do happen. Just more magnified on occasions like this, unfortunately for the Czechs, where they were leading. You never know what could have happened if they'd held on, right? We're just about to enter the last 15 minutes of the game. It looks like the Czechs have got 2 subs lined up. Could this be the moment, Stevie, that we see Anton Barak come on? Maybe give them something in a midfield perspective. Just keep hold of that possession at times. You need to be able to just take off that pressure. So it looks like the Czech substitution is going to take place, as there was an offside against Cristiano. And as we speak, Anton Barak is coming on, the number 7. We'll just wait and see. It's the number 8 for the Czechs. That's also being lined up here. But they're not going to come on because they've decided to play on number 8 in the Czech squad. That was being lined up here was, let's have a look, Sverchik, who plays for Slavia Prague. More a defensive-minded midfielder, primarily. So that's clearly to give them some energy in the middle of the park. Chufal just there, doing his throw-in. Almost being slid through there. I think that was from Provod. Provod, the goal scorer for the Czechs. Almost giving or creating an opportunity there for the Czechs. Right, are the Czechs going to make this move, or are they holding out still? Portugal with the throw in here. Let's see. Because the Czech players, they're still waiting on the sidelines. We haven't actually seen a lot of Diego Jota, have we, since he's come on? I was expecting to maybe see a bit more of an impact from him at this stage. Good save by Stanek just there, low down to his corners. Save from Vitinha, who had a shot on goal. Well saved from the keeper, in fairness there. So Portugal with a corner, it looks like. Czechs still not going to make this substitution, which I don't know. Are they holding out for the 80th minute mark or something? Or are they waiting for a specific time to make the substitutions? And as Stevie Kohler said, Czechs are falling into the Scotland trap. They are. At the moment, I don't know what they're trying to achieve here. But sitting back is certainly not the way that you should be taking this, given that you did quite well to take a lead in this match. They certainly could benefit from actually pushing themselves a bit more up the pitch. like I say, I think all of the energy has gone into defending and absorbing a lot of the pressure that Portugal have thrown at them. Provod is coming off. He's making way for, I think it is Barak and Slush as well, coming off for number 8, I think it is. Waiting for the name to appear up on the screen before I actually announce it to you guys, but I don't know if they're going to say it. Svechik. So let's see. Last 10 minutes of the match practically now. We're at that stage now. Can the Czechs get a vital point here? Let me know, guys. I can see you're still on there. Grateful to have you on for this live stream. Get your questions, get your comments in. How do you think? Do you think we're going to see a moment in this game? Stevie called it at 2-1 for the Czechs, and the Czechs have done fantastically well in the defending there, denying Cristiano Ronaldo, but it ends up in terms of a corner. Well blocked there, and Anton Barak using experience to hold off Bruno Fernandes and drawing a foul in the process. Yeah, stupid foul by Bruno Fernandes. I know he's trying to get to the ball, but no need for that. Absolutely no need, especially given the circumstances where Anton Barak was with that ball in the pitch. You're still within the Czech half of the pitch. Don't concede a foul in that area. But the Czechs have, from the resultant free kick, managed to get it up the other end. They've done a quick throw in. The ball falls and it's rebounded out. Souček just then, is it? Souček just having effort. Just gone wide of the post. I thought that was the moment. I thought that was literally the moment that we were going to see them do that. Svechik even had the opportunity initially with a shot on goal before it landed to Souček, who shot wide from his effort. We enter the last 8 minutes of the game, guys. Plus, obviously, we'll probably have some injury time. Imagine possibly 5 minutes as it currently stands. Souček doing quite well, letting the ball run out. But subsequently, Portugal have managed to keep the ball on. Sloppy passing from the Portuguese there, from in particular Vitinha. Loses the ball. Whilst I'm getting a sense of urgency from Portugal, they aren't doing much with it. I know we're saying that the Czechs are falling into a bit of a trap by, encouraging almost the Portuguese. But they're breaking away the Czechs. This is the thing. They just need to, again, so frustrating. It must be so frustrating being Czechs right now. You get to that end of the pitch and then your attacker doesn't retrieve the ball. I think it may have looked like that was Barak potentially with that ball there. Just got the ball from the left-sided centre-back there. And he just kind of kicks it aimlessly. Need to be able to hold on to the ball in that final third better than they have been for the majority of this match. If they're going to get a goal or just take the pressure off their team. Subsequently, as I speak, Pepe's just kicked the ball to the far side, hoping that João Cancelo would be able to get the ball, and it goes out. So Stanek with the goal kick for the Czechs as we enter the last 7 minutes of normal time. Fascinating game so far. Not the prettiest of games. That's what I would say. Fascinating in the sense of it has been like a game of chess in some respects, without maybe the class of a chess game. Portugal pretty much being like your busy bee without any end products here. The Czechs doing well in the stages of the match, periods of it. They've done really well defensively. They took their goal quite well. It's just moments like getting into the final third where they've struggled here in particular. Portugal trying to do things, but they're not doing those things very well. That's the thing. I think in the second half, we've not seen anything in Cristiano Ronaldo. I'd be taking him off right now. Just get someone else on that will just maybe just draw one of the markers out of the game. Because at the moment, he's been very anonymous in this second half. Yes, he's got a presence, and I agree that he can do things, but we have to remember he's 39 years old? 39 years old. Rest him at the group stages. You don't need him to play full 90 minutes for every game. And I know he looks after his body really well, but just elements here. This is the thing. These are the kind of things that you need to start thinking about. Anyway, Portugal have just won a free kick. We've got 5 minutes of normal time, or let's call it 4.5 minutes to go now of normal time before we got the inevitable. I'd probably call it 6 minutes of injury time now. Portugal on the far side looks like they're going to bring on some substitutions as well as we go along here. Stevie Cole, let's get your comment up on here. Portugal remind me of Arsenal around 2009 when they tried to score the perfect goal all the time. Yeah, the Arsene Wenger type of goal, wasn't it? It was all about intricate passing. And we've just seen Portugal take the lead through Diego Jota. Cristiano Ronaldo initially heading a cross which hit the post, rebounded, and Diego Jota reacting the quickest to get to the ball. There was a bit of a bundle in the Czech goal with Stanek trying to, I think, keep hold of the ball, get the ball as quickly as he could. But Portugal have just celebrated, and potentially, let's see here, because there's going to be a goal check. Let's see is this going to be ruled out for offside? Now, Ruben Diaz, when he was in the offside position, was not involved. And they've pulled it back. No goal. Still 1-1. Was not expecting that. I cannot obviously listen to commentary, so if anyone wants to shed some light as to why that goal wasn't given, that would be really helpful. Ronaldo offside, right? Okay. That seems by a very tight margin there, Stevie. That was quite tight. Unless I didn't see the replay very well from what I could see on my stream here. Yeah. So we're going to have some tension for the next few minutes, that's for sure. Portugal still applying the pressure. It looks like they've got 3 men ready to come on here as well. Nuno Mendes doing quite well down that left-hand side, but the Czechs are defending resolutely, as I've said, pretty much most of this live stream so far. 1-1, 88th minute. Very tight. Just seeing the replays, I can see, yes, obviously, technically, he's in a half-bodied offside, if you want to call it these days. Back in my day when I was first watching football, that wouldn't have been classed offside, but these days it is offside. Anyway, Portugal making the changes here now. Are they? I don't know. They're waiting. Vitinha's come off. It looks like João Cancelo might be coming off as well. Got Nelson Semedo coming on. Who else we've got? It looks like Chico Conceição is coming on. And I did not see who the other player was. Let's just double check for you guys. They're a bit slow on the BBC, aren't they? So Nelson Semedo, Conceição, and we've got Neto that have come on. And they've just announced who they come on for. So Nuno Mendes has come off. Czechs have just got a chance, pulled into the box, but it's been cleared by Ruben Dias. Subsequently, a few Portuguese players have moved the ball. However, Chafal has just intercepted. He's running down the right-hand side, tries to cross it in, but it is cleared by, I want to say that was Bernardo Silva. But the Czechs have still got it in the final third. We have just entered the 90th minute range now. Could we see some late drama from the Czechs? Could this back up Stevie Cole's prediction of 2-1 for the Czech Republic? It's a bit of a foul. And interestingly, even though I said to you guys I expected 5 to 6 minutes of injury time being added on here, a minimum of 4 minutes have been applied here. Nelson Semedo bodied the Czech player there, Dudara. Strange subs, I agree. If anything, you should have made maybe 2 of those, maybe earlier. In particular, I'm thinking Neto. Neto would have been really good. And he's actually on the ball now. Subsequently, and the opportunity, and there you go. That is 2-1. What a goal. The impact of Neto just there. Just so much more direct. Great play by Neto there. Heart blow for the Czechs, who just gone the other end, and looks likely that they were going to cause a bit of mayhem in the Portuguese box. But Portugal subsequently, through Neto, take it down the other end. And I've just got, I couldn't even see who actually scored there. Was it Conceição that took the winner there? I think it was Conceição. Yeah, it's been given. Chico Conceição. He reacted the quickest, unfortunately. Just spun off. I think it was Holesh. Stanek didn't do or couldn't really do too much there. What a game. What a game. Francisco Conceição. Should have been a free kick. Did I miss something there, Stevie? I don't know. Please educate me on that one. I don't know what I missed there in the process. Were you saying there's a foul from Neto, or was it on from the centre back but being potentially pushed in the back, was it? Anyway, Czechs are through here. Just again, the moral of their story here tonight is that when they get in that final third, but Anton Burak superbly floats the ball into the box, but it's headed over. Yeah, it would have been offside though still, regardless. Let's have a look at this. So they've just replayed it. What? From the goal kind of perspective, can't see any foul there, Stevie Cole. So it was the free kick in question before Neto gets the ball into the box. Shoulder barge by Semedo. Okay, I did not see. I'm unfortunately seeing the replays here. I must have missed that. We've just entered the 94th minute now. Obviously, it was 4 minutes of minimum time, so expect at least another 2 more minutes potentially because of the goal celebrations that took place. Portugal with the throw-in here. They're going to play it long, or as long as they can. Czechs have managed to get hold of the ball. However, long ball bounces towards Diego Carlos, who's just calm under the pressure, waving his players so he can do a long kick. No doubts here. And there we go. Full time. Portugal, somewhat fortuitous, it's fair to say. And the Czechs absolutely gutted. They defended resolutely tonight. At times, however, it's their attacking play that has let them down. And Portugal, unfortunately, due to the depth of quality of players, have managed to see this game through. They have won the game 2-1 inevitably. They were the favourites for this. And you can see by the hugs that they give in, they're kind of relieved as well that they managed to get the results in the end. So, yeah, lots to build on from a Czech perspective. They can be proud of their efforts. They did resolutely quite well. They absorbed a lot of the pressure that they had from this Portuguese side. However, mistake from Stanek to let Portugal back into this match. And then we obviously saw Portugal with some late drama there. But this Portugal side, although they had to be patient, yeah, they sort of lacked those clear-cut opportunities, I would say, as a whole. So, yeah, that's my summary for this evening. Massive thanks to everyone that has joined tonight, in particular Stevie Cole. Stevie Cole, thank you for keeping me entertained here with your questions, with your comments. It's been really duly obliged. It's been really helpful. And for those that have also been watching on Twitter and Instagram, really appreciate that. If you could do us a small favor, if you happen to be a user of YouTube, if you could go onto the YouTube channel where we've got this live stream, give it a like, but more importantly, if you could subscribe to the channel if you don't already do so, that'd be really helpful to us as a podcast. But for now, guys, I am going to bid you farewell. Have a great evening. Enjoy the football tomorrow. And hopefully I will join you for the live stream, which is Scotland versus Switzerland. Keep an eye on our socials because I'm hoping to be able to do that. And yeah, have a great evening, whatever you're up to. Take care, guys.